So I was pretty decent at the longer distance races. So I was feeling pretty confident, I could win this in the school. So I'm getting ready for the race, sort of warming up, and then one of my best mates is sort of hanging out with me, and I don't know, something gets mentioned about one of my favourite bands like Foo Fighters, or Dave Grohl his name gets dragged through the mud or something, and I just lose it. So we start having like it, yeah.
Slander!
I throw my glove at you, sir. And we fought. So we were probably we were sort of having a bit of a like roughhouse, just messing about. And my mum turns up, and it turns out we'd been fighting for so long. They'd been shouting my name over a tannoy, telling me it's like the race is about to start, and I completely missed this race.
No.
Yeah, I totally missed it. So I just got up from this fight. I saw my mum looking at me. She's sort of shaking her head, and she's in the distance, so too far for me to like call out to her. And she just turns around, and just walks away. And I was like, "Oh, jeez, okay,
oh, no.
That was bad." So there you go. You're spotted. Yeah, you crippled a colleague at school to win, and I just, being an idiot, just completely missed my only chance of glory at school.
Dear. This isn't a guilty pleasure in any way, shape or form, but it is my new television passion, right?
Okay.
This is Meat Eater, the Netflix series.
Yes.
So I saw this earlier in the week when I was updating the watch list, as I'm prone to do, and this thing came up, and the trailer's like 4 dudes covered in camo, like rifles, shotguns, bows and arrows, barbecues sizzling away, sides of deer like just hanging from a tree. It's just like a hunting, cooking bloke program, and I was just eating it up all week. I was just watching this program. Hosted by this guy called Stephen Ranella, who you've read one of his books.
I have, yeah.
He's a conservationist, hunter, maybe chef as well, I guess you could sneak in there, but he's just an all-round American dude, and he lives up in Montana or somewhere, and he just hunts and shoots and fishes and cooks up this incredible blokey food.
Yeah.
So now I've climaxed there. You can you can give us your
bring
opinion.
it down. Yeah. You take have a cigarette break. You chill out for a second. Dude, I'm so glad you got into it. I haven't watched it for a little while now, but I started watching it a while ago. Now, living with a vegetarian girlfriend makes watching these kind of things a bit tough sometimes. But, I mean, she's okay with it, but, it's you're seeing a decent amount of animals getting, like, killed and gutted and butchered, basically, which is amazing. It's such an amazing process to watch, I think, but you can understand from her anyway.
Especially if you eat meat. I think it's important that you watch it and you're fine with that.
Gosh.
If you're going to eat
Totally. I think he's a really good guy. If you at any point you're feeling any sort of guilt about eating meat, because there's a lot of talk about vegetarianism and veganism and how it's good for the environment and how animals deserve to live and stuff, and I think it's good to think about that if you do eat meat. But if you
think about that,
think about it only for a little bit and then immediately stop. But Steve Ranella, he's great. He's got such a good way of articulating the reasons why he loves hunting and why he feels it's okay in a sustainable way and a humane way to kill animals for food. And I think if you want to try and listen to someone who's very much an advocate for eating meat, then he'll give you some good sort of ideas and sort of give you an understanding of why it's important. Now, battery farming and that kind of stuff's another subject, but hunting, for example, I think is such a natural, beautiful thing to do as a human being, to take you to that primal state, caveman going out, providing for his family.
Yeah.
You can't beat it, and I wouldn't hesitate to do it. I just wish I'd lived in a country that was a little bit more prevalent, although there is definitely hunting in the UK. But
we live in a much smaller country, like the countryside and the areas of land where these animals run about and it's safe to hunt. They're much fewer, right? And then the ones that are there are much smaller, and there's lots of regulation and stuff, and it's harder, right? Unless you live in the middle of nowhere, unless you live in Scotland or Cumbria or something, it's harder to do that.
Definitely. It is. I think so. And I mean, it's pretty strict in America, to be honest, as well. Like, even if you lived in Montana, where I think he does live, you've only got a couple of months a year to hunt specific animals, and then once that time is up, you know, you have to either move on to the next animal that they're allowing you to hunt, or there might not be anything open, you know, which is, I think, a big misconception about hunting as well. It's very well thought out and planned by the government and the game departments. Basically, they need to do it because otherwise populations of certain animals can just skyrocket and it can decimate other populations of animals. So it's actually a very humane thing to do. But going back to the watching that show and reading his books, oh man, what a life he lives.
Yeah,
just going out into the wild and just stalking prey, taking it down, butchering it, cooking amazing food, and sharing it with friends. Oh, dude! One day we'll go out there.
Oh yeah,
we'll
for sure.
Go like.
So the cooking part of it is great. Like I love both parts, but I've never done much hunting in my life. I've done lots of cooking, so the cooking bit jumps out at me. And they just cook everything in such a basic, natural way. It's amazing. Like they don't fanny about with it too much. They're not putting loads of crap on it. They're just, you know, it's super fresh. They cook it with some nice stuff to complement it, some nice beers, and it seems like it goes down a treat. I mean, my mouth's watering just thinking about it. But, you know, some of these, you know, blue soft shell crabs and stuff in Maryland, and some of this venison is just, oh man, yeah, it's
you can't beat it, man. I would still say to this day that one of the best things I've ever eaten is I was in the Cascades in Wisconsin in America on a holiday, and which is actually where Dante's Peak is based. So there we go, a little callback to earlier. See if you were listening. We were fishing in the lake in the Cascades. We caught one fish. We were there for the entire day. We jerry-rigged this fishing rod because I hadn't been fishing for years, and I sort of just jerry-rigged it. I used a keychain as a weight because we didn't have any weights. And we just had some really random bait, like some spam or something. Anyway, I managed to actually catch a fish with this completely jerry-rigged setup, which I was pretty proud of. Killed it, gutted it. I took it to the place we were staying. We fried it, and it was one of the best things I've ever eaten. And the feeling I got, man, it's just, there's nothing like it. I can't describe it. It's and that's just fishing. And I mean, I think fishing's still fantastic, but imagine you've been stalking a buffalo for 2 days, you know, across Alaska, which is his book, by the way, basically is recounting a story of him doing that. And you finally see this buffalo that you've been looking for days, and you kill it in one shot, dies very quickly, and then you have to go through this arduous task of dismantling this humongous animal, one person, slowly loading it onto rafts to take down to the closest village, and then you finally get to eat some of that. Like, can you imagine the feeling you'd get on that first meal, no matter how it tasted?
Exactly,
but it's going to taste good, you know.
The amount of effort put into that meal, and many meals to come as well, because you can fill huge chest freezers with this stuff, can't you?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
One of the things that struck me, though, is the amount that Steve, the host, bottles it, and especially in the first, 3 or 4 episodes.
Okay.
It seems like whenever he's got to take a shot, he bottles it. For the first 4 episodes, he misses it, or if he's telling somebody else to shoot, he tells them the wrong time and they bottle it. Everyone else on the programme nails it, right? And the animal goes straight down, no pain, you know, whatever. But he's got meat wastage because he's hit it in the leg and all this stuff. Sure. I mean, no offence, Steve. He's probably 10 million times better shot than I am. But I mean, come on, this is your programme. This is episode 1. Get it. Take the shot, man.
I didn't realise he was going to learn how to hunt on the programme.
He's just a bus driver by day. He's never held a gun in his life.
That's great. I didn't watch it from the beginning, so I think I watched it from about season 4.
Right.
Because I first heard of him on Joe Rogan's podcast, and Joe Rogan is notoriously big into his hunting. He only does bow hunting, though, I think, which is just so badass, it's insane. So, and there's an episode with Joe Rogan and him bow hunting elk, and that's where I started from, and that's about season 4, I think. And he's much better then, I'm sure.
He's got his iron by then.
He's got his iron. Yeah, he's good. And by the sounds of his book, he's pretty darn good as well. So, which I would highly recommend. It's called The American Buffalo. Just that, if anyone's interested. It's totally worth the read. It's
waiting in a queue on my Kindle as we speak. I've just got to get through every biography of Ian Fleming, and then I can make my way onto that.
Great. That's amazing.
Mate, we have had another great run in the virtual pub.
Bloody great. I look forward to it every week. I cannot wait.
It's a welcome distraction, isn't it? I hope it's a welcome distraction to anyone listening. You know,
fingers crossed.
Even if it breaks up a little car journey for someone, that's job well done, right?
Sure, that's it. And we've got all the socials now, like we mentioned last week, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. Got email address.
Exactly.
Which is...
It is the Blokes Podcast at gmail.com. Nice and simple.
There we go.
The Blokes Podcast at gmail.com. So yeah, if you've got any beer recommendations, any film recommendations, anything you'd like us to mull over, any jokes, any man jokes, I think we should chuck out a few dad jokes in future. Maybe a little section of like jokes. Bring back the pub quiz as well, mate. We started off strong with the quiz.
Of course, we've got to get back on the quizzes.
Little pub quiz at the end, right?
That sounds great.
A nice little feature.
100%. And we'll get on the Spotify playlist. We will do that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that reminds me. I did actually start a Google Maps playlist, for want of a better word. I don't know what it is, but
what the hell is that?
Like a Google. You know how if you go on Google Maps, you can save pins of different places.
Yes.
Right. So I've done a Blokes Podcast Google Maps thing. So anything we talk about in these episodes, any bars or pubs or restaurants or whatever's that we talk about, I've gone and pinned all these on a map.
Great. My gosh,
so
amazing.
Anyone listening, if you know, because we often can't remember the names of these bloody things. We've got memory like a goldfish or something. So yeah, you can go on this map and find the pubs that we're talking about or the restaurants. Right. Well, I'll see you next week.
Perfect. Same time.
Same place.
That's a new outro. I like it.
Jesus. Got it. Nice.
All right, mate. Well, on that bombshell. Over and out.